Hey, what's up, guys? It's Cypher, and today I want to show you guys three very important training techniques that you can practice in playground mode that will help you with your building skills in Fortnite. So it's actually more than three techniques, but it's like three main categories that I want to go over. And let's just get started. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go out and get max wood, brick, and metal. That way you can practice for a while before you run out of materials, and it only should take you like about a minute to get this taken care of. It's very easy to get it in playground mode. And these are warm-ups that you can do by yourself. So there are some techniques that you can practice with other people, but this is just something that you can do on your own to warm up before jumping in game, or just to practice your builds. So the first thing we're gonna warm up with is just a simple 1x1. Basically, you'll start off simple floor, you know, if you're assuming you're on not an even ground. And then when it comes to 1x1, turbo building is going to help you build 1x1s a lot quicker. So if you're not using turbo building, this might be the time to start, you know, adjusting towards using turbo building. The way I do it is usually I'll start off like right in the center, and I will click and drag one about like all the way around, and I'll jump and I'll put a ramp down. Now it's important you actually put the ramp down while you jump. If you do it too slow, obviously you'll get stuck under your ramp. And this is something that happens to people when they're building a lot, because what ends up happening is the more you jump, you start jumping less and less, and you get jump fatigue. So it gets to the point where the ramp can very easily put you underneath it. So the way you do it to try to avoid this is you want to start moving up and down, like side to side, basically, so that you end up on the higher end of the ramp, and then you turn around and build a ramp going up away from you. So I'll try to show you. I'll try to show you what I mean by that real quick. So you do this, end there, start over here, end there, do this, end here. You see how I'm kind of like, and of course you don't want to miss any parts. You see how I'm kind of like walking this way, then turning around and walking this way, turning around back. So you're doing this to kind of negate the jump fatigue. If it applies to you, you're not going to end up falling underneath the ramp. And when you do this really fast, and again, I just woke up, so like I might make some mistakes, but if you do it really fast, it just looks something like this. You kind of want to start the wall on the side that's higher. You just go like that. Now, you don't want to miss any spots. You want to go all the way through and jump. Now, like I said, if you mess up, you might end up building a ramp on top of you, and you'll get stuck underneath. But this is the strategy so that you can build 1x1s. And of course, you're using turbo building to get it done. And you just warm up like this. Eventually you get it down and you stop making mistakes. Obviously, right now, like I'm making a few mistakes here and there, but that's why this is warm up. And now we're all the way up here. So this is going to be your first practice warm up. It's just practicing your 1x1s. And the main important ingredient to practicing this, like I said, is you want to build the wall while you're high up. And you wrap around, face this wall, build a ramp. And as you're moving forward, you're basically building the other walls. So you're moving forward and you're building the other walls. That way you're high up and the ramp has a very low chance of building on top of you. That's the technique. You practice that, warm up, get your 1x1 building speed higher and higher. And that's going to be it for the 1x1. So I'm going to get down and I'm going to show you guys a few other techniques that you can practice to warm up your building. All right, so this is where things get a little bit more fun, because we're gonna, you know, 1x1s are cool and all, and they're useful, but to be completely honest with you, they're kind of boring. No, I don't really enjoy sitting on 1x1s, and I don't enjoy having to need to use 1x1s. I enjoy pushing players. So this segment, we're going to focus on pushing opponents with double ramps. And we're going to show you multiple different double ramps. I'm also going to show you single ramp and explain like when they can be useful, when they're not useful. Because a lot of times you might end up overspending your resources if you don't know when to use what. So first thing you want to practice, obviously, as a beginner, you're gonna want to start off with your simple double ramps. You know, you're standing in the middle and you're just clicking and placing. And with turbo building, you're pretty much just sliding your mouse side to side. This is easy, right? This is easy. Now, for some people, this is difficult because, like, you know, when you're starting off, you might not be comfortable with anything at all. And that's what you want to start off with if you can't accomplish that. The second thing you want to start warming up with is single ramp with walls. Because this is actually useful sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to do double ramp. You don't want to spread yourself too thin. Sometimes you don't want to spend too many materials. Sometimes you're limited on materials. So this is just a single ramp, wall, ramp, wall, ramp, wall, ramp, wall. And it's all muscle memory. And you get in the habit of doing it. The more you do it, the better you'll be at it. And because of playground mode, you can do it in an environment where you're not going to get shot at. So this is a perfect time to start, you know, practicing this technique. Ramp, wall, ramp, wall. And the more, like I said, the more you get in the habit of doing this stuff, the easier it will be, the more natural it will be for you. Okay. After you're comfortable with ramp, wall, then you're gonna start wanting to do double ramp with walls. And this is gonna be your bread and butter push. Double ramp with walls because it's I'm trying to take this down. It's gonna be how you approach most fights in you know, against competitive players. Like, obviously, if you see somebody and they don't look like they know what they're doing, you don't want to waste your materials on doing double ramps with walls. That's a little too much, in my opinion. But sometimes against like a really good player, you're gonna want to put double ramps with walls. So, what I recommend for people who are just starting off is you don't want to sprint initially. You want to start off with like a walk like this, because if you sprint initially and you're not used to it, you might mess up. And my recommendation is you start off by walking, and then once you're comfortable walking, then you can start doing a sprint where you're just like this. And it's kind of like a circular motion. You see how I'm moving my mouse in a circular motion, swapping it between these things? And again, you want to make sure that when you swap to your wall, you don't want to be in a situation where you're too far low, because if you put wall up while you're too far low on the other ramp, because your ramps can extend far, right? You can start building your ramps right here. And if you build your ramps right here and you swap to wall immediately, you're going to build a wall in front of you. You're going to block off. So you got to be careful and be attentive to your positioning when you're building up, because the wall is always going to try to build closer to you in most cases, while the ramp can extend a little further than the wall, in my opinion. So if you build the ramps right here, wait till you're up here before you put the walls up, because if you try to put the wall up too early, again, you're gonna block yourself off, and then you're like, oh no, and you get to edit, and by this time your opponent's already higher than you. So that's the thing. That's another strategy right there. Now, the final strategy for this technique is, while it's very rarely used in my opinion, and I don't think you should use this unless it's a very specific situation, because this uses a lot of materials, is double ramp with walls and floors. The reason why you would even want to bother with double ramps with walls and floors is, let's say you're ramping up on somebody, you got your walls out, you got your walls out, you got your ramps out. The problem is, if somebody's lower than you, like if somebody's up high, like let me show you the angles on this. If somebody's like high up top, and you're ramping up towards them like this, what's gonna happen is if they try shooting at you, the walls and the ramps should be enough to layer your building. Because let's say they want to knock you down, they're gonna have to shoot here, and then they have to shoot through your ramps, and it's not even a good angle. Like, you see, I just shot down 2 walls before I can even get to the ramp. So it takes a bit. But if somebody's lower, if somebody's got a low angle on you, they literally can shoot directly on the ramps. These walls don't protect you. And when somebody has that low ground, that's when you want to employ the strategy of putting the floors. And this is probably going to be your hardest ramp rushing technique. But the best way to go about doing it is you want to start off with single ramp. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So you want to start off with single ramp, and you want to start off walking. So you put the ramp up, and you know, just put one ramp up. And the way I do this is I usually start off, I'm pretty sure I start off with the floors and then the walls. So I put the ramp up because it's harder to build a floor extended over here or on top, but it's easier to build a wall in front of you. So you put this ramp, you put a floor, you put a wall, ramp, floor, wall, ramp, floor, wall, ramp, floor, wall. And again, start off by walking and then get to the point where you're running. All right. Then once you master that, then you can start trying to do it double. And again, even this technique, like it's something that I only recently started doing with my new keybinds. I couldn't even do this technique with my old keybinds because I couldn't sprint forward while doing this. But this is how it's going to look once you get the hang of it. All right, here we go. I'm just going to start up here so you guys can see a little more clearly. So again, you want to start off walking, but we're just going to do this just for the sake of the video. We're going to do this on a full sprint right off the bat. Like as you can see, if you're not warmed up to it, you might mess up. It's very easy to mess this up, but that's okay. The more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. Pretty sloppy because I'm missing some parts here and there. Like this one doesn't have a floor, but it's part of the process, guys. The more you practice it, the better it'll get. So that was like as you can see, this is like some parts are good, some parts are bad. We'll try to work on making all the parts good. Another run right here. It's all about getting the muscle memory down. So once you get the muscle memory down, you just practice it over and over, and then it's just going through the motions at that point, you know? Man, that is not good. That is not good, chat. There we go. Whoops. I usually do this a little bit better. I just think little more warm up for me, and I can get it down a little bit better. But again, this is a strategy that you can only really do if you have your keybind set in a way where you're able to sprint and swap through your binds. Started off pretty decent, messed up right there, and then I messed up a couple times here, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Could be better. It could be better, and that's something I'm gonna do more often to warm up now that playground mode's available, because you don't want to practice it in the middle of the game and blow all your mats. So that's basically the ramp techniques you want to practice, and clearly it's something I need to practice as well. Now I want to show you guys some other strategies that you can practice. Basically, this is going to be like build fight practice, and of course it's better to do this with somebody else. But to do this, you want to put yourself in a box, assuming you're in a build fight, some guys on top of you, and you want to practice your double ramps. And when I mean double ramps, I mean ramp on top of you, ramp below you, and the ability to turn around and ramp back up on top of your opponent. So you start off with double ramps, immediately wrap around, floor, ramp, wrap around, floor, ramp. And this is basically going to help you take the high ground in the middle of a build fight. Another thing I want to show that is very important, and this kind of falls in line in the same category here, is you want to practice your ramp floor edit. Okay, that's extremely important, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's say some guy has the high ground on top of you, and you're trying to get up to them with ramps, but you also want to protect yourself from them shooting you while you're ramping up. So this is how you do it. You want to get in the habit of ramping up, placing a floor like this, right? And as you're running, you edit through your floor. And you... Sometimes, as you can see, the strategy is mainly limited by the editing being very obnoxious. Because you can see sometimes I pull out my pencil and it takes a few seconds before the editing option appears. But that's not okay. So that's a problem on Fortnite's part, not really a problem on your part, because the thing is, anyways, it's not realistic to expect to do a full sprint with the ramp and the floors, because if somebody is shooting at you, you're going to want to stop and put a floor up and protect yourself. Like, let's assume that tree is our enemy right now, and we're trying to get up to that tree without getting shot at. And you know, you're gonna start off with a floor ramp, edit through, floor ramp, edit through, floor ramp, edit through. And if they shoot at you, you know, you protect yourself. You keep putting the floor up, and you can edit on this side, edit on that side. You can see how long it takes sometimes for the editing function to even pop up. Oops, I just edited the entire floor piece. 1 sec. There we go. Again, this is something that you get in the habit of. It starts becoming easier. Hopefully, you're never going to be in a situation where you have to do this many floor edits in a row. But it's just something that you practice, get the hang of. Eventually, you start using it in combat. And in an actual combat, it's not going to look like this. Like I said, people are going to shoot at you as you're coming up. So, you know, you're coming up. Someone starts shooting at you. You put a floor down. Edit through. Put a floor down. Edit through. He starts shooting at you again. You might protect your sides. Then once you see the situation is clear, you edit through. Edit through. And actually, if you pre-edit the floor, you can actually just go through all the way like this, but this is not really going to be ideal because you're not going to be protected as you're coming up. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of protection, but it's not something I recommend you actually do. I know some people who do actually do that though. So this is just another practice, guys. Again, these are all warm-up strategies, and for the sake of keeping it realistic, this is the first game I played today, so even I'm not fully warmed up. Now I'm feeling a little bit better, and I feel like I can actually do some stuff. So I recommend that you guys get into playground mode, practice this stuff on your own, master what you need to master, and become a better Fortnite builder. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.